Now, it's that time of the year when the world of fashion descends on the United Kingdom for the opening of London Fashion Week. Alongside New York, Paris and Milan, London is now one of the top venues for the world's leading designers to showcase their collections. Well, one young designer who'll be wowing the catwalks with her work is Hazel Osunde, the force behind the Eke Orleans label and the winner of the Women for Africa Award. And I'm delighted to say she joins me in the studio with one of your creations. Now, before we talk about this, let's just be clear, you don't just design the clothes, but you also design the prints as well.
Yeah.
Now, is that usual in fashion, or do you stand out because of that? Are you a bit of a maverick as a result?
I guess you have some that sort of have their own prints, but I knew that if I going into the fashion industry, I had to have something that was slightly different. And so for me, my passion is designing my own prints, and every print tells a story. So this one here, for example, this was inspired by Calabash.
Now, this is how would you describe it? As a smock, or could it be more as a dress? Or?
It's a dress. It's a short mini dress.
Yeah, okay. A short dress.
Yes, a short dress. And it kind of, if you look close enough, it has calabashes in there, and calabashes in Nigeria are either instruments that can be used for music or to eat out of, and it has this sort of hour-shaped glass shape.
Yeah,
and
then quite bulbous here, isn't it?
Yes, and so in this dress, when you actually have it on, it comes in the waist and it goes out, and yeah, so that was the shape we sort of created from the calabash, and it's used a lot in Nigeria, calabashes.
Because it's interesting as well, because from a distance, if you didn't know it was a calabash, you think it was an insect.
That's a lot of my
body
prints,
of a beetle.
Yes, you have to sort of go close to see actually what it is, but yeah, this is a calabash.
And it's very soft as well. Is this a silk that you use?
It's silk. So I am sort of, every print that I use is on silk. Every design and every fabric I use is printed on silk. And it sort of brings out the luxurious texture, and the colours pop out a lot more.
Yeah, because some people would be a bit scared about using silk because it is such a delicate fabric.
It's very delicate, but
and very expensive if you make a mistake.
It is expensive, yes. It is expensive, and that's why it's automatically a luxurious fabric. But it just feels so nice on the skin.
Because the texture is absolutely beautiful as well, and it's lined with silk too.
It is, yes. Yes.
Yeah,
everything
and of course everything just coordinates beautifully as well, colour-wise. But I mean, how important is your heritage? Because you've got German, Nigerian heritage. How important is that in terms of shaping what you design?
It's very important. Like, I use the Nigerian element of me is very much, every print is African inspired, and so sometimes I bring a part of me into the print. So I grew up in Nigeria, so in some of the prints it takes me back to my memories of growing up in Nigeria. And so it's very important also because the African continent is very colorful, and I love colors. So that's why I use my African background into my prints. The German side is probably more the way I operate, the way I function, the way I work, the efficiency. Yeah, that's probably,
So you're also wearing one of your own designs now as well?
This is the latest one that was just showcased in New York on Saturday.
Yeah, and what was the feedback to your collection
The feedback, yeah, you're always very nervous at the backstage and wondering what people are going to think. But once I came out, I got some really nice comments, people coming up to me and saying, Hazel, your collection stood out, I loved it. So far it's been great. I haven't seen the press feedback yet, but these are just from the people in the audience.
Would you say that American fashion journalists are more savage with their criticism than perhaps their French counterparts or their English counterparts, or are they uniformly quite tough?
I'd say the Americans are quite tough.
Tougher than everyone else.
I'd say in terms of their feedback, I think, they could be quite critical if they don't like something. I'd say yes. If you can make it in America, if you got the tick that they like your collection, then I think, that's a huge...
but you mean you're doing very well, so in a sense you've got nothing to prove to them, because I know from our last conversation when you were in some prime London department stores, for example, and also you were dressing the contestants in the Miss Ghana contest. Yes,
but it's still very nervous when you do a collection. You just never know what the perception is going to be, whether people are going to like it, and it's still I do want people to like it. So it's important to me what the press think, and if people like it or not.
But I mean, how do you make yourself stand out from other African designers? Because I mean, no disrespect intended, but there are other African designers who also want to showcase not just their talents, but also the continent and the life and the colour of their particular country. So how do you make sure that you stand out ahead of these guys?
It's by having consistency, and by sort of when people pick up a piece, they know automatically this is an Eke Orleans. So I know for me, if somebody can see someone wearing a dress and they know it's an Ecure lens, then I feel I've done something right, because there's the consistency, there's the story, and also because the prints are mine. Nobody else can buy them anywhere else. It's just unique to Ecure
So it's like your unique fingerprint.
Yeah, and it's something. It's like an extension of myself.
Yeah.
In the prints.
But it's interesting as well, because I mean, you said earlier that every print tells a story, and your own story is quite fascinating, because you started off working in finance. So to make that switch from finance to being a designer and self-trained as well, self-taught, I mean, how did you do that? That must have been so intimidating.
I made lots of mistakes, but for me, I'm the kind of person I learn. It's like a journey, and I have to make mistakes in order to improve. And I would work in my banking role. I'd come home and I would sort of sit and start sketching up things, putting colors together, and that's how I started off. And it was a journey that, I would do prints and I would just ask my friends, what do you think of it? And that's how I sort of started, and I just learned. And the one thing is, if you don't go to fashion school, yes, I'd say you should go to fashion school, but if you don't, you have this open canvas. You don't have these rules as to what you should do, what you shouldn't. I just go in and I just, okay, I like this works, and this, I just go with it, go with the flow.
I mean, time's running very tight, but you're going to be wowing us at the London Fashion Week, and what happens after that?
After that, I just kind of want to just chill,
take a rest,
take a rest, and then sort of promote this collection, then start working on the next collection. It just never stops; it's continuous.
Well, if this is anything to go by, I think it's going to be it's absolutely wonderful, a great success. We wish you the very best at London Fashion Week, and stay with us, keep in touch, tell us what goes on.
Yeah, thank you.
Excellent, Hazel. Thank you.
Thank you.